Welcome back to the Centre for Legal Innovation's Legal Techy Tuesday series. We are very excited to have Constan and Jamie Jackson from LodgeX here with us today. Cathy is the founder and CEO, and Jamie is a senior associate. Cathy and Jamie will be showcasing LodgeX's platform that effectively and efficiently takes care of electronic settlement requirements. Again, welcome. Fabulous to have you all here. And now over to Cathy and Jamie.
Hi everyone, and welcome to our webinar today on Legal Techy Tuesday. What we'll do is we'll start with a quick little video that does an overview of LodgeX and LAP, and from there we'll go into the live demonstration of the platform LAP. So over to you, Jamie, to roll it.
Hi, I'm Constan, CEO and founder of LodgeX. LodgeX was the first e-settlement agency established here in Australia. It provides a complete solution for e-conveyancing Australia-wide. Customers make and track their bookings via our bespoke platform, LAP. LAP was specifically designed to provide a comprehensive solution for practitioners transacting in e-conveyancing. By engaging LodgeX LAP, practitioners realise a real increase in efficiencies and streamlined workflow practices. This, in turn, translates to a better work environment as well as increased profits. We're excited to showcase LAP to the Centre for Legal Innovation community as part of Techy Tuesday. Our demo today will show you just how LodgeX and LAP can help you boost your efficiencies so that you can work smarter, not harder. So stay tuned to our first demonstration and see why LodgeX is setting the gold standard for e-settlement and e-lodgement solutions Australia-wide. Thank you.
Welcome to LodgeX, your e-settlement and e-lodgement property solution. Founded in 2017, LodgeX was the first electronic settlement agency in Australia. With offices in Melbourne, we have the ability to transact Australia-wide, from property settlements in Victoria to off-the-plan developments in Western Australia. Our clients include lawyers and conveyancers, corporations, financial institutions, developers, among others. We assist our clients in effecting property transactions, family law transactions, subdivisions, estate transactions, as well as any other settlement or lodgement needs. LAP, our online workflow management platform, streamlines the whole process, allowing you to focus on what really matters. LAP is a secure, cloud-based workflow management platform designed with you in mind. Our settlement process is just 5 easy steps. Create a booking via LAP, upload the relevant documents, review and verify your instructions with our team, confirm financials for settlement, and then sit back and wait for confirmation of settlement. It's that easy. So let's break down those 5 easy steps. First, to create a new booking, simply click on the green New Booking button. Then select your transaction type from the drop-down menu and click OK. Our booking wizard will now appear. Just fill in the information relating to your transaction. By the way, if you don't have all the information handy, there's no need to worry. You can edit the wizard at any time by clicking on Booking Data. We have a selection of common documents, such as the Client Authorisation Form, available to download for completion within your booking. You can upload applicable documents for your transaction by clicking the green Upload button. Then press Submit and the file will be picked up by the LodgeX team. Your booking is now live. LAP has an inbuilt settlement schedule which keeps you up to date with all your settlements. Tracking made easy. Keep up to date and communicate with our team via the Messaging tab. All your booking details, financials and updated instructions will be confirmed here. Finally, sit back, continue your work and wait for confirmation of completion from us. Transacting with LodgeX is that easy. To register for an account, simply visit lap.lodgex.com.au and click Register for an account. If you want to know more or you'd like a private demonstration, feel free to contact us on 1300 LodgeX.
That little buffering was a little bit funny. Lucky I wasn't a cat meme or anything, so it provided a bit of amusement. Okay, so let's get on with this demonstration. And what we're starting off and you're seeing in front of you is our login screen. So basically, when you're a customer of LodgeX, you'll be greeted with this screen whenever you log in. And just logging in is really easy. You are first given a password and you log in with your email address and your password, which you'll be prompted to change after you first log in. So once you've logged in, you'll see that we have two-factor authentication enabled, and that obviously allows us to provide a higher cybersecurity presence so that you can be secure that when you're transacting in LAP, all of your data and all of your details are protected. So the first thing you'll notice on the screen is that there are 4 columns and they're headed with draft, bookings, in progress and completed. And each of those has a particular function. So the draft column on the left there is where you can place all of your files as you're getting them ready to put a booking in with LodgeX. So when they're in there, they're not exactly live with LodgeX, but you can put them in there as part of your work practice and just know that you're getting them ready and prepared to then submit for a booking. So for example, if you're given a settlement that's 2 or 3 months from now and you don't necessarily want to send it over for a booking because you're waiting for details such as deposits or the contract or the like, you can just start creating your file, and as those details come in, you can populate it, and then when you're at a stage where you're ready to submit it for a booking, you then move it over to booking. Bookings, so the draft column also has another function that you can quickly hide it away so that it's not cluttering up your screen when you're actually looking. So you just know that they sit there and they're not active or live files. The next column is the bookings column. So in there sit all of the files that you've submitted to LodgeX for a booking. It doesn't mean that LodgeX is actually working on them. When we take them, we will move them from the bookings into the following column, which is the in progress column. Now, one of the things that we'll show you when we show you the settlement schedule is how when you make a booking and you populate it with a date, those bookings will also then populate your settlement schedule, so you'll be able to track where those bookings sit. So effectively they sit in 2 sort of places on the interface there for you. In progress is obviously where we have received a booking from you, you've committed to the booking, and then it's sitting in there and we're currently working on it. And then the final column is the completed column, and in that column sit all of your completed bookings, and they'll sit there. We hold them at present for 9 years sitting in that column. So you can, if there's any issue or the like with relation to any of your bookings, they can always be accessed in that completed booking column. Now, Jamie's going to quickly activate the schedule tab. And so the schedule tab is your settlement schedule. And you can see that what we have created is a very visual schedule, which you know, at the top you see each relevant date, and the dates only appear in the dates that you actually have a booking. So you don't have all of these absent and blank dates in between. And you can see that the bookings then fall underneath each of those dates. In this example, we don't have a date that has more than 1 booking, but if we were, and as part of the demo, if we select one of these dates as a booking, you'll see subsequently that it'll appear underneath, or if it has that red highlighted, it'll be further up as an urgent booking. Couple of other features, the top tabs up there, you'll see right at the top there's the dashboard, which brings you back to the dashboard that you're looking at. A manage tab, which allows you to put your members and if you have particular groups in an organisation that deal with bookings. It also includes your contacts, your documents and general documents that are used in transacting in the electronic settlements and via LAP. The help tab has a few little user guides and about and various other little help related matters, so that you can look at those as you need to if you're ever stuck or you need to refresh yourself with something that you've been taught with the demo. Just next to it, you'll see there's a little envelope there, and that envelope is for messages. So what it is it allows you that when you first log in, you can see, and it'll have next to it as messages are populated in there, it'll have a number of however many messages. What makes it really cool is you can, each of the messages are all listed underneath one another, so that if you really wanted to just quickly check messages in LAP, you could just click on that, have a look at, you might have 5 messages and just know, oh yeah, I've dealt with that, or this is what I need to deal with. One other thing, you don't always need to be logged into LAP in order to receive messages. We do have an email push out of messages as you need them. So, yeah, okay. Now, the other tabs along there are the start a new booking, which we'll click on in a minute. Again, another help tab, which has a few little quick videos, and each of those are relatively short. I think they're only, the longest is about 30 seconds. And again, they do things such as how to upload a document or upload a booking. So again, if you need a quick refresher or you've forgotten how to do something, they're there and they're available at all times. Our trust account details are also provided right up the top there, so that you always know details of our trust account. And when you are created as a customer, we then take the details of your trust account and we'll enter those into our system, so that we ensure that there's no transmission or communication relating to trust accounts that goes backwards and forwards in a not secure setting. Next to that tab is our Common Documents tab, and that has such things as the Client Authorisation PDF, or the CAF as it's otherwise known, our bespoke document called Authority to Act and Consent, which we created to cover off a few issues that we thought needed to be signed off on by both the customer and the client, just to make sure that all of the insurance and liability issues are ticked off. And then also the identity agent certification form, where a lawyer or conveyancer who is our customer is acting as our identity agent for the purposes of VOI. Also in there is our right to deal checklist and our price list, so that at any time you can always double check what the prices are or whatever if you've forgotten. So let's move to a booking. So you'll see that the new booking is a nice bright green button there, and the first question that you get prompted, and we call this our wizard, is tell us how we can help you. And then it's I want to book A, and as you can see, there's a whole drop-down menu of various documents or various transactions that you can book with LodgeX. So for this example, we'll do a purchase settlement, and each of those documents are only live and available in the jurisdictions as they are live and available via PEXA. So, for example, if a jurisdiction doesn't offer a certain type of transaction yet, that jurisdiction, if you are in it, we won't be able to take instructions from you in relation to that type of settlement. And you'll see what I mean in a minute when you get asked to populate the jurisdiction for the particular transaction. So in this one, we're going for a purchase settlement. So at the first thing you'll get prompted to put in is your reference details, and that'll be your file details or some way that you know how to identify that transaction for your own purposes internally. So, you can put those in, and then that allows you later on to search for that matter, however you want to via LAP. The jurisdiction, as I mentioned, you can see that greyed off at the moment are ACT, Northern Territory and Tas, because obviously they're not live for electronic lodgements, but the other jurisdictions are live. And as I said, each of those jurisdictions will have the documents that are available for electronic transacting live and accessible via LAP. So in this example, we'll use Victoria, and we'll put in some title particulars. Okay, and one of the features that we have is that we also verify title in the same manner that PEXA does, and that allows us to know that that title is live and available for electronic transaction. So then the next part will be populating the property address. And again, we have the address prompter, so we could just quickly, which minimises your time in data inputting for addresses. And if you know your PEXA workspace, you can you can put that in there. So, for example, if you've received a workspace invitation, you can already put it in there, and we'll be able to track and find and connect to that workspace. Okay, so then you add in your party details, and we also have a availability there for frequent contacts. So if you're transacting for a particular party and doing lots of transactions for them, you can add them as a frequent contact, and that way you don't need to keep data entering in their details each time. So for our example here, we've created a frequent contact being LodgeX Legal, and so as you can see, they've been inputted there straight away. Jamie will just add another party being our other frequent contact, I suspect, which will be our test demo client. Okay. One of the other things that we've just recently incorporated into the platform is remote VOI, and that's available for those jurisdictions where the registrar has said that they will accept remote VOI, currently, especially with the COVID restrictions. Not all jurisdictions have that option available, so for those jurisdictions that don't, we don't have that functionality available. Jamie will just put in the residential address there, which has already been populated. And then you can also, again, we have this choose address button, which allows you to choose different addresses that you may have already populated in there. At the bottom, you have details there if you need to add a trustee, and obviously that would be necessary in certain transactions for stamping of trustees and the like. Okay, so we've got two tenants here, so we can select the type of tenancy that we want this to be. If we are selecting tenants in common, then the system allows you to indicate what percentage or what shares or what number of holdings that those tenants will have. And if the numbers that you put in don't add up to, a complete whole, the system will not enable you to proceed. So, for example, in this instance, Jamie's put a wrong error, so therefore you can't go further until it is fully accounted for. Okay. Now, the finance details. So in this, you can put in the name of the lender. Now, if you don't know it at the time that you put instructions, don't worry about that too much. You can always provide those details later on, and also a loan reference number if it's known. And again, those details can be populated later on. We also have a question there asking whether or not there's any authority to draw shortfall, so that, in terms of us creating the financial settlement part, we know where funds are coming from. And then, there's another question there as to whether or not the purchaser is contributing with their own funds to settlement. Now, underneath, we have an additional option there for surplus funds, so that if there are additional funds coming and going back to the client or accounted for, those, so say, for example, in a purchase, as settlements happening, people may not know the whole amount, and they might have a certain amount coming from the mortgagee, and therefore there might be a few $100s extra or the like that need to be accounted back to the client. We ask that you provide us those surplus funds account details in this particular screen, so again that it's all those details are provided securely within the LAP platform. And then finally, the details that we need in order to complete the transaction, so it's just details with regard to the contract, the date, the settlement time, what the price is. So the time, we usually ask you to indicate whether you want an AM or a PM booking, and then various other details. Now, in Victoria, obviously, we have a notice of acquisition. That's not always the same in other states, so we ask for a couple of extra details there for that to be able to be completed. And then a couple of extra questions there about principal place of residence and certain exemptions for, ongoing land tax and the like. Now, if we know the vendor's representative, we can pop that in there, but again, it may not be something that's known, and that you can put in later on. So none of, aside from, the the fundamental details of the parties and the address and the title, and obviously a settlement date and contract date, you can proceed to put a lot of those things in and then populate them subsequently as part of the booking. So now Jamie will just hit create. And what you'll see is it's created a file there. And right at the top, there's a really some great information that you can see from there. So it tells you who the customer is, which if you were our customer, your name would appear there. It also gives you a full time and date stamp as to when it was created and when it's been updated. So you can always know when you created that file and when someone last worked on it. It immediately allocates a file number to it. And as you can see up the top there, there's in brackets, there's a P, which means that's a purchase settlement. So for a sale, we would have a C, for a caveat, an S, and for a caveat, we'd have a C or the like. Okay, so what you can do now is you can have a look and you can designate the urgency or otherwise of the settlement. So say, for example, you were booking the settlement in a really short time frame with us, you would have to designate it as an express. And as you can see, immediately there's a little lightning bolt over there that means, move fast on it. And the other thing that would have is it would have the additional thing of highlighting our booking in red to show that that's an express. Immediately there, you can also see a few other really quick snapshots. So the jurisdiction is a Victorian jurisdiction. You can see the settlement date and time. There's a tab up there that just says, if you need some help at any time. You can have a look at your booking data. So if you ever want to go back into your actual booking data, you can do that and you can work on that. And as I said, you can keep doing that until your booking is live. Again, the trust account details appear there, and they appear in both places, both up on our initial dashboard, the ribbon, and then also in your booking card. That's just to make sure that people know those details and they correlate in a secure setting. And then underneath, it shows the members, and that's each of the people that would be working on that file. So in this, it's DA, which is demo admin. And obviously, if there was somebody from your organisation, they would have a number or initials allocated to it, and as many or as few people would appear on there. And that's actually quite relevant when we go to the messaging, which we'll show you in a minute. On the left there, you'll see the supporting documentation. So right at the very top, there's the client authorisation form. Now, for the purpose of this demo, we'll just quickly show you just how to upload that form. So Jamie will just click there, on that little green button, the upload form, and then he'll be able to just simply drag and click over and populate that. It's that easy. You can literally drag and click from anywhere and just populate into that. The VOI, and again, for the purposes of this demo, we'll just upload a dummy file there. And then our authority to act and consent. And you can see both with the CAF and the authority to act and consent, there's also a little tab there that says get template if you need to, so that you can always quickly connect back to those common documents. And those ones there, they're all interactive forms, so they're really easy to populate. Okay, now all of those things, if you have your contract of sale, you can put that in there. The statement of adjustments obviously will come later on or closer to the booking time. You won't necessarily have that ready. I mean, you'd be pretty organised if you had it at the time you make a booking. And then if you're seeking to get paid your fees at settlement, your invoice for professional fees will come in there. Underneath, you can see that there's some other documents. If, for example, the purchaser is a trustee, we'd need a copy of the trustee's schedule. Any other additional documents, if, for example, there's leases or whatever attached or various other things in relation to the property, they can all then be put in there as additional documents. You'll also see that we have a final letter and trust receipt and statement tab or line. So as soon as settlement occurs, we create that final letter, and that's populated into that space, within minutes. So that literally you get the final letter notification with the whole settlement summary, as well as copies of all of the documents that have been signed and lodged on your behalf, appearing within that tab. Trust receipts and statements are also populated as soon as funds are received in trust. So if we receive monies in trust, overnight we'll populate, usually we do that overnight, your trust receipt in there. And as soon as monies and funds are dispersed and there's a zero balance in trust, the trust statement will also be populated in there. Now, if you want, you can just see Jamie will just open up the purchase settlement file. So once you've created all of the purchase, those details, you then, what the system can do is it can generate for you a PDF, and that basically sets out all of the information that you've provided to us so that you can see it all there in a quick snapshot for all of the things that you've put in terms of your booking data. And we find a lot of our customers like to print that out and have that at the front of their file because it has some handy things such as, birth dates, phone numbers and the like that they might need themselves as part of a transaction. Okay, so now what we'll do is we'll move that booking and we'll submit it. And as soon as Jamie hits submit, there'll be a little thing that says, are you sure you want to move it to submitted? And at the bottom, you'll see that it's now moved it's gone from, draft into a booking, and it will sit in that booking file. The other thing that will happen at that point is that the file will then be locked. So effectively you can upload documents, but in terms of changing any of the booking data, you won't be able to change that booking data. And that's to protect both yourselves and ourselves from any subsequent changes that might happen that, perhaps people aren't aware of. So that's an audit provision that we've put in there for you. So with regard to the messaging, which Jamie's now just going to highlight, so, you've made your booking, you might want to send a quick message and just, we'll see it anyway, but you might sort of know that settlement's going to be delayed or you think that there's an issue. So, you can just say whatever you need to say to the team about those issues that you might be thinking of, and then you send that message. And you can see that it appears there like a text message, and next to it it says, this is the person that sent that message, and obviously any response will show who responded. And we find that, our clients communicate in there very easily with us, and it means that, they always know that they'll get a response, and, everything is stored in the one booking file. So you don't need to be looking for emails all over your computer, trying to find who said what, when. It's all sitting there, very easy to read, very easy to track. You can see all of the documents and everything that's been provided. So, there's no confusion and everyone is fully aware of what's going on in terms of that file. So now if we go back to our dashboard, you'll see that our file has now gone into bookings, and you'll also see that it's now appearing in that date there of the 11th of March. So again, that's now been populated in there, and of course, as I said, that will eventually get picked up by the LodgeX team. The other thing, when you now look at this, and after having had the benefit of seeing how the booking happens, you can also see that there's a couple of things of each of the cards that are really, we find, quite handy and useful information. So, for example, it shows you that there's 4 documents that have been uploaded, and it says over here that there's one message that's waiting to be responded to, or there is one message sitting there, and it also tells you the booking date and also shows you the file number and says purchase settlement. One of the things, and obviously because in this demo we're not really going in and connecting with the PEXA Workspace, but a couple of the other things that will appear will be, your PEXA Workspace ID and a couple of other sort of things that, at a quick glance allows you to see what's going on in that workspace. So that pretty much is a purchase settlement booking. And what we thought we would also show you would be a booking for a caveat. So we'll show you a caveat, and we'll pick a different jurisdiction. And for this, we'll pick New South Wales. So for example, so in this, we're looking at a caveat lodgement. And you can, just one other thing was there, that you can have a option there of wanting to submit, say, a bulk lodgement. So if you're acting for an organisation and you have a lot of lodgements to do for a particular type of transaction, for example, we get asked quite often about bulk lease registrations, or, you know, we've been asked about bulk mortgage transfers or various other things. You can click that bulk lodgement tab, and then you'll be directed to us, and then we'll work with you, and we'll be able to do a bulk lodgement quite easily. So the way the platform operates, I mean, we can upload something like 100 workspaces in about 2 to 3 hours and have them all ready to go. So it's very, very streamlined and very, very efficient. So in this example, we're just going to do a caveat lodgement. So we're picking that, and we're also going to pick, again, New South Wales jurisdiction. And as we did in the last example, we put your reference in there. So we'll just put some number there. And in this instance, we'll put a New South Wales title. Okay, and again, that verifies and tells us that that's ready for electronic lodgement. Now, because this is a lodgement, obviously there's unlikely to be a PEXA workspace ID connected with that. And Jamie will just put in the contact details there. Now you'll see, so this is a little bit different. So again, for the caveat details, you are prompted to provide the answers, and these answers correlate to the requirements for New South Wales. If you were in Victoria or South Australia, Queensland or WA, obviously those details will be different. So, they all conform to what the requirements are within that particular state and jurisdiction. So we just say here that there's an agreement, and it's a charge, and the type of prohibition. Okay, so again, in this instance, we've got the same details there. And as I said before, you can see there's a C up the top there, which indicates that it's a caveat. Again, you've got your file number when it was created, and your booking documentation there. You have to provide your CAF. Obviously, a CAF is provided to lodge a caveat, but it will be required to withdraw one. So we'll just put one in there anyway. And the VOI will be required as well of your client caveator, and then your authority to act and consent. Okay, so now, so you can see here there's a tab there for proof of claim. So if you are claiming a caveat under some form of an agreement, we will obviously need to have that proof of claim, and we do verify, the grounds of claim in relation to caveats, because obviously as we step in the role of the subscriber, we need to be comfortable that the grounds are properly described and set out in order for any caveat to be lodged. Okay, so you can see here that there's the settlement dates disabled because there's no settlement date with that. Okay, and I think that's ready to move to submission. So Jamie's just submitting that, and that's booking of a caveat. All right, and you can see that sits there, but of course it doesn't appear anywhere in the settlement schedule because it doesn't have a booking date or the like attached to it. Okay, so that's pretty much how our platform works.
Thank you, Kathy and Jamie, for a very informative presentation. It was really interesting to see how LodgeX and LAP can save time, improve client relations, and increase efficiencies by providing an effective and efficient solution for e-conveyancing needs. So if you'd like to contact them after the session, you can contact them on those details on the screen. So on that note, we will draw to a close. As you know, the Centre for Legal Innovation is very much focused on these types of webinars, this type of information sharing, collaboration, and experience exchange. We are all about practical solutions. There will be many more webinars coming up in the Legal Techy Tuesday series in 2021, so make sure you follow us on LinkedIn, Twitter, or Facebook for announcements. We look forward to welcoming you back to one of our events, and thank you again very much for joining us today.